Welcome back to this week's of Late Call. We're going to talk about something in the NFL that for some reason nobody's talking about. A few years ago, we had the big controversy in the NFL with concussions. It was, a really big thing. It's pretty dangerous, and I don't know, the whole controversy has already been said. I'm not going to dwell into it.
Right.
You know what's going on this year that no one wants to talk about? Leg injuries. There's a shit ton of them. I mean, a ridiculous amount.
Yeah, and it seems sort of appropriate to discuss leg injuries since we're here at the 30th anniversary of maybe the most famous and brutal leg injury of all time, which is when Lawrence Taylor accidentally ended Joe Theismann's career on Monday Night Football.
Woo.
If you haven't seen the clip of that, go watch it. And unless you're queasy, don't watch it. It's pretty bad. But yeah.
There's a lot of them this year. For some
Yeah.
reason, no one is talking about this isn't just coincidence anymore. You can talk about the big names: Jamal Charles, Le'Veon Bell, Arian Foster. Those are just
Even though
big
his
names.
actual Achilles injury that went out was like kind of a freak accident, but he's known for getting,
Right.
you know. Right, anyways.
We're looking up injuries. There's a Pro Football Reference database that has on, and you can look at everybody who's on every team's IR, and you look through the list, and it's all knee, Achilles, groin, you know, hamstring, knee, just knee injuries everywhere, all over the place. And I noticed this a few weeks ago, and I didn't know whether to make an episode about this or not. The knee injuries has been all over the place, just crazy amount, like more I've ever seen in my entire life, and it was just weird. And it's becoming so big that I feel like the NFL is just trying to brush it off. It's like, oh, it's kind of a weird season, I guess. And I don't think
Yeah,
it's just a weird season. I think honestly, what it comes down to is with the whole concussion debacle that happened in the NFL, and it really put a bad spotlight on them. That now NFL players are being trained to hit low instead of hit high. Which is like, okay, well, you don't go helmet to helmet. You don't hit high. You don't cause these concussions as much as possible. And concussions have gone way down because of it. But now on the big uprise are knee injuries. Everybody's getting a hurt knee all the time because that's where everybody's attacking. You've got to attack low because you don't want to give somebody a concussion. I think, is it the point where if you give someone a concussion that not only can you get a personal foul for the game, but I think you can get fined for it at some point.
yeah. There's a certain level there, and I mean, obviously this is a little bit different than NFL, but in college you have like targeting, and you can actually get ejected from the game over it.
Right.
So I hope I don't want to say I hope the NFL doesn't get there. I just hope that there's some kind of medium uh, that finds itself here with the targeting. I just don't know, man. It just seems to be too rash. Like there's too many of them for it to just not be from targeting these low tackles, like what you're saying.
On top of that, there's
There's
too
just too
many of
many.
them that for it not to be talked about. That's what's kind
Yeah,
of like most upsetting to me is that you can look at ESPN, you look at NFL Network, Sports Illustrated. No one's talking about this. No one. And it's kind of
right.
like this really appalling numbers that no one wants to talk about this. We are. I mean, we're nobodies, but
And,
we're talking about it.
and I mean, I know it's football. People get injured. That's just the nature of the game. But it just seems like really high this season.
Yeah.
Now, we haven't actually gone in and broke down numbers, and since, like you said, no one's talking about it. I don't know if the stats actually exist with someone's compared season this season to a previous season. You know,
Hmm.
if that grunt work's even been done, but it just seems like it's a lot higher this season. I mean, it's like you were listing players off for the Steelers. I mean, just looking at this list right here, uh, knee, Achilles, knee, hamstring, ankle, and then there's the neck. So,
That's just one
and that
team.
was the Arizona Cardinals. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
that
was,
was one team.
you know, and some of those players belong to the defense, but almost all of them are offensive players. Almost every single one of the ones I just listed was an offensive player.
Right.
So that means they got hit.
On top of
You
that,
know,
it's upsetting for anyone who plays fantasy football. Look how many,
yeah,
yeah,
especially when the big names get hurt. But I mean, you're seeing this even with all these like one of those people on that list is Larry Fitzgerald battling an ankle problem. I mean, I can just literally scroll through this list and just see player after player. Terrell Suggs is out for the year with a torn Achilles. Defensive player. Um, Steve Smith's season got ended by an Achilles. Maybe his career, you know,
yeah.
by an Achilles. Like it's the fucking Greek warrior by an Achilles injury. Um, there's just did you mention Jamal Charles earlier? You know, leg injury. It's and this is just all through the league.
I'm just gonna go
I
off the top
mean,
of my head for like even Packer players.
here's the Chicago Bears: a foot injury, a knee injury, a leg injury, a shin injury. What the hell is that? How does that even happen? Kevin White, wide receiver, out. Chicago Bears, shin injury.
Even for Packer players, Eddie Lacy was out, ankle injury. Ty Montgomery is out, leg injury. Devontae Adams was out for 6 weeks, ankle injury. It's just all over the place. Jordy Nelson out for the entire season, leg
Right.
injury. Although
that was a freak.
that was a freak accident. So I guess that
Adrian
wasn't.
Peterson battling a hamstring injury right now.
Yeah,
Look, we can keep naming names, but I feel like we've made the point
right.
that there's just this huge rash of leg injuries, and it seems like there's got to be more to it than coincidence at this point.
It's not
I mean,
coincidence.
watch the games. You can see players are targeting low because
Yeah,
they're so worried about getting the helmet to helmet or and what we're not. I don't think what we're saying here is that it's wrong, but what we're saying here is that it's something that needs to be discussed. Is this like forever going to change the game? Is just how is this how it's going to be now?
yeah.
Because is this sustainable?
Does just
I don't
every
know.
team do they have to when they make their roster in the beginning of the season? Do you just have to accommodate to have more extra running backs and wide receivers because you just gotta bank on it. Someone's gonna get a leg injury, so you gotta make sure someone can take a spot. Is this gonna something that's just gonna have to develop, or is this something seriously that needs to be discussed? Because I mean, the whole concussion thing was seriously discussed. Granted, that deals with people's heads and their brains, so obviously, so it needs to be discussed. And I honestly think it definitely correlates. I mean, there's no question about it. No one wants to attack high, so everyone's attacking low. Well, if you attack low, leg injuries, and
I mean, this is simple. You can watch the game and see the tackles
mm-hmm,
low. I mean, another Kyrie Robinson for the Saints. I mean, he went out and he was pretty bad, honestly. It it's it's bad. Like I know that's not like the most articulate way to express it, but it's bad. It's just there's a lot of leg injuries. Simple English terms, a lot. Uh,
I think
like
what needs to
we thought
happen.
about actually counting all of them, but it seemed pointless. Like seriously, Pro Football Reference current NFL injuries, go check it out. You know,
Yeah,
it's almost unbelievable how many there are. Like I
before
know
we
it's football.
recorded, I was gonna count out how many knee injuries there were in the
Right.
NFL right now. I would have been here for hours. I mean, honestly, I would have been here for hours counting how many knee injuries. It's that many that's going on right now. It's a little ridiculous, and
It's not because there's thousands of players, y'all. It's because he would have got to like 150. Fuck. One, two. It, literally, it is so bad. It would be hard to keep track of.
yeah.
You know, like just counting them.
And like I was saying, they definitely correlate, and I think the best
Yeah.
way to try to get rid of it is when any defensive coaches, all defensive players have to go on an understanding that if you're gonna tackle, this sounds hard because it's like, well, now we can't attack high, we can't attack low. Like, where we can go? Wrap up is the best way to tackle. It honestly
Yeah,
is. And
yeah.
not only is it the safest way to tackle, but it honest to God is the best way to tackle. I mean, I know it's like kind of hometown for me, but look at how Clay Matthews tackles. He doesn't sit there and just put a shoulder in and just hope for the best. He puts his arm around someone and he brings his body weight down and he takes the guy down. That's how you're supposed to tackle. That's how
Well,
every
and as a
defensive player
Saints
should
fan,
tackle.
I've seen a lot of missed tackles this season,
Yeah.
and it's like once you get to the NFL, it seems like you should know how to tackle by now. But a
Yeah.
lot of these guys, I think, developed bad habits in college because they were so good athletically or whatever, they could get away with it. But then when they got to the NFL, it's almost like you need to reevaluate your fundamentals. It's not even almost like you need to reevaluate the fundamentals
Oh,
of the game
definitely. Yeah.
to make sure you don't have bad habits and make sure you're doing everything right because I see a surprisingly large amount of bad tackles in the NFL, and it's supposed to be the highest level of the sport. Like I played football a little bit when I was younger, and like one of the most like lesson one is learn how to do the tackle, or you like you say, you wrap people up. So I don't know.
It's the
It's
best
like a
way.
basic tenet of football, especially if you're a defensive player,
Yeah.
and that's how they should do it, and it would avoid injuries. So
And like sometimes I kind of understand people want to throw their body weight low or they want to do the whole
sure.
shoulder check and everything. And yeah, sometimes that works. Sometimes. But not
How many
only
tackles have you seen missed though because they didn't wrap? They hit them,
that's
the guy
exactly
rolled
it.
off of them and kept going.
That's exactly it. These whole like shoulder checks. I mean, first of all, you're not playing hockey. This is the NFL, and second of all, I'm not dissing on hockey or anything. I love hockey, but
Oh, it's a different sport.
it's a different sport. That's the point I'm getting across. And second of all, is there's two. Any shoulder check is there's going to be three outcomes. You injure them, you miss, or you get lucky and you take them down. And
Right.
honestly, out of a 33% success rate, I don't know why. I don't know why any defensive coordinators are teaching, your players to do the shoulder check instead of wrapping up.
Because it looks cool.
I
Oh,
I guess I don't buy that
because
either.
you do the shoulder check and they just go pop, pop.
And like,
Yeah.
I know that's hard to say too, because
I seriously doubt that's what the defense coaches are
no,
teaching them.
I doubt it too.
Uh, they just see the opportunity to do it.
I think you nail it right on the head. I think it's bad habits from college. I think that's definitely the biggest. And then you come to the NFL and you're doing well. You do this and not thinking and like it's hard. You're heating the moment and you just like I gotta get them and throw my body into it. And it's kind of just a bad habit because hey, you got away with it in college and it should work now. And sometimes it does. A lot of times it doesn't. So a lot of times you miss that tackle. And a good amount of times someone gets a leg injury.
A lot.
A lot. A ridiculous amount of time.
Our descriptive term for this video.
I'm gonna name this video just a lot. Like call a lot.
Yeah, I think that's most of what we wanted to say, though.
Yeah.
It's just an interesting dynamic that, as a result of trying to prevent concussions, we've seen an increase in leg injuries, and they need to go more for the hip-based wrapping up tackle. So,
Well, and that's exactly because ultimately, the same thing with the whole concussion debacle that happened with the NFL is you want to keep your players safe. I mean, you want to keep your players in. That's what it comes like down to, like everything. Like, I don't want to see any good players go down with a leg injury, and it's happened way too much this season. Way
even
too
mediocre
much.
players.
Even even just okay players. We don't want like I mean, you said it right away in the beginning of the video. Injuries happen. They do, and there's a lot that you can't prevent, but I feel like this is a big thing that is preventable, and this should definitely be
I
discussed.
Yep.
And
So
for some reason it's not. You know what's funny?
maybe they'll talk about it.
We say this now, but watch in like a week. on ESPN, there's going to be a report on it because that's what always
Hey, I'm
happens
okay
with
with
it. Well, actually, I'm okay with it too. I'm definitely okay with it. I kind of hope that this becomes a bigger report, and I hope that when it comes out, that someone can say, "Hey, Cajun and the Cheesehead said it first." No, I don't.
when I
Yeah, I don't really care about that. But it definitely should be addressed. It definitely should be addressed to the
definitely.
fact that it's happening, and it should be addressed to the fact that there should be some way to try to fix it. And I think with that, you can add in your own comments on what you think about all the leg injuries and what maybe you can feel how it could be safer. Because no one likes injuries. You don't want to see your favorite player go down. No one wants to see that. Definitely don't want to see another Joe Theismann go down.
Oh,
Yeah, exactly. Wrapping it up. um, you can always follow us on Facebook and Twitter. There's links in
yeah,
the.
tying it all together.
What?
Actually, starting to lose connection right towards the end of the
Yeah, I
recording.
saw
So
that.
keep going.
Okay.
Yeah.
Links in the description below, Facebook and Twitter. Leave us a comment in our YouTube video here. Tell us what you think about the whole leg injury. Always follow us because we have shit to say. Besides just in the late calls. And we'll definitely see you next week for the late call. We're
Yep.
just gonna have a weird stare down
Crazy
now.
voice.
No, we're just kind of a weird stare down now.
No, I was just lagging. That's all the stare down with.
Oh.